As in starting now?
Yeah.
As in we're actually live?
Let's see if I can.
As in we can start the show?
1 second. I don't see it on the public view. I'm trying to preview it on the public view.
Cool. So how are you?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're officially live now.
We are officially live now. Okay. So welcome to another episode of STS. It's episode 30 today.
Episode 30.
30 is a milestone.
We made it.
Yeah. How old did you just turn today?
28.
Okay.
Almost.
As old as STS in episodes versus years.
Yeah. Something like that.
We're on this camera now.
Nice. Cool.
This is
I wish we had a mirror so that we could show everybody like the exact
Well,
setup.
no, Ollie, pan that around. Pan that around. Show what we got going on here. Does it work? Can we pan it all? Oh, we're back to
all the equipment. Oh yeah.
There we go.
We got some Asian guy.
Oh no.
Cool. So this is our new live setup for STS. And so we're going to try to be doing all of our STS episodes now with this setup. Unless we can update that at some point. We even have lights.
Yeah. Well, I think they can see them from that angle that Ollie gave. Anyways, so please let us know if this is working, if there's audio issues, if there are picture issues, anything. This is our first time using this setup. We're not technicians. We were sponsored by, Black Magic Design gave us 2 of these cameras, and Fountain Media Group sponsored us and gave us the setup to do this live stream. So shout out to them, thanks to them. But we are not technicians with this sort of thing, so we're going to be making this up as we go along. It's a 4-man show right now. We got the 2 men in the back. We got Ollie, we got Derek. We'll try to get some more people on the panel. We can have up to 4 audio lines going on this, so should make for some more interesting content in the future.
Yeah.
As far as content today, we're going to be talking about art of motion submissions.
Before we do that, we're going to do a quick shout out to the Modus Projects. Thanks for the gear, Giles.
Thanks, Giles.
Appreciate that. But yes, back to the topics. We're going to be talking about our motion submissions. So, top 15. Do you want me to read them off, or do you want to?
Do you want to talk about top 15, or do you want to talk about who actually made it in first?
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that.
It's a little more simple. 15
yeah, for sure.
First of all, I made a post just saying that I agree with the top 4. Do you share that sentiment, or do you feel like someone else should have got in there?
I think it's a really tough job to judge those submissions, especially because there's really no standard set. So it's a really tough job. So I really appreciate the effort that all the judges put into selecting them. As far as whether or not I agree with them, I think all 4 of the guys they selected were really, really top choices. But I think you could have taken any one of them out and put in somebody else. I 100% agree with putting Joey Adrian. I think he deserved it. I think he deserved to be in there last year. And I'm glad he's finally getting his opportunity. Kalen Chan, I feel like is pretty new on the scene. So as far as him being in, it's, I feel like I haven't seen enough from him to really know, but I liked his submission. I thought it was interesting. And then we got Foskey, who was in last year. Didn't quite make it to the finals, so he wasn't invited back, so he had to make another submission, which was an incredible submission. And then Pedro Salgado, probably one of my favorite athletes currently. Not really freestyle oriented, but still is able to pull out a really crazy submission. So I really appreciated his lines that he put together. But I think any of those top 15 could have taken one of those spots.
Yeah, there's an interesting point you made there where you said you haven't seen enough. Maybe we haven't seen enough from Kalen Chan, and I wonder if that plays into the decision process, because it's supposed to be you put in a submission, and that's your art of motion submission. Arguably, it shouldn't be about popularity or who you are. Like, the point of the online submissions is they already have their top guys from last year.
Yeah.
They already have some of their big names that are coming out. So the online submission is supposed to be about who puts out the best online submission.
Right.
So I don't know if they take that into account, who they are, or.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Art of Motion's been criticized in the past for being really almost like a favoritism kind of club. Like you have to know them to be in it.
Yeah.
And I think there's some validity there. I don't know.
Oh, there definitely is,
Yeah.
and I think it can't be helped with the format, the way they're doing it, with the state of the way the world of parkour is. I think it would be really hard to be 100% fair under those terms.
I agree. But I think things need to change at some point, and that's another criticism I have of Art of Motion, which is they haven't really done much to change over the last 10 years that they've been operating. Yeah, maybe they need to kind of change their idea of who they invite back for the following year, whether it has to be everybody in the finals or it could just be the podium, the top three, and then you open up more spots for somebody who could potentially come in and take the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know.
How many people are in the actual? So when because they also have the on-sites, and I think you end up with 12 or 16 contestants overall, or I gotta say it's at least. It felt like it was at least 16.
No, it's more than that.
Really?
They have
okay.
Heats of they have 3 heats of
6 or
something
okay.
like that.
So we got our top 6. We got the new 4. We got 10. So essentially, there's 10 other spots, or 6 or 8 other spots, something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Plus the women. So we, Lin Young, Lucy Romberg, and Sydney Olsen. Yeah. So that's 13. Yeah, plus 7 or 5 or 7 more people.
Do they open that up for on-site?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's there's an on-site qualifier 2 days before the actual Art of Motion.
Right.
And I think a lot of people that didn't get in, guys like Eric, I think he routinely goes to Art of Motion every year anyways. So they've like Annan came out and made a video defending some of the reasons for judging, particularly for not including him, because there was that big backlash about Eric not getting in because he threw some moves in his submission that, as far as I know, have never been done before.
Well, I mean, it's just it's the Alfred Scott idea of having ridiculously high difficulty stuff and rewarding that. But
it's not just Alfred Scott though. There's other people.
Other people are agreeing with him. And I just saw his Facebook status, and there was a big uproar around that. So, yeah, and I liked Eric's submission. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it, and I thought it was incredible what that guy does. Every time, I see that guy do something, it's always something impressive. So, never gonna take anything away from him. Like I said, I think you could have put Eric in the top 4, and I would have been like, yeah, well, it is Eric, and he did have a good solid submission. I think it's interesting that actually the 4 selections that they made, they selected 2 Americans and then 2 Europeans, and they also selected two Americans that have flip heavy style and 2 Europeans that have more traditional parkour oriented style.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if there was any kind of thought that went into that. It's just maybe it was totally random that was actually the case, but I think there's some interesting choices for this year's online choices.
Yeah, you were saying too. You feel like you can switch out any of those guys for other guys, and I think for some of them it's true. So we talked about Joey Adrian, kind of saying deserved. I felt like his submission was what an Art of Motion submission should be, because he did longer lines. He tried to keep the difficulty up. The connection of movements and the flow wasn't always the greatest, although to most people's standards it was spot on. So that to my understanding, if you're gonna go to Art of Motion and you're gonna compete, you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to do because that's a long course, and a lot of the other submissions aren't really longer runs. They're kind of short, 3 to 5 moves, and that's it. Joey had definitely, some of his runs, he had trouble cutting it down to a minute and a half length because some of his runs were just way too long. So, yeah, I feel like you definitely can't switch Joey out. I think Joey has to be in there based on that he's making a submission that's specifically for it, and he essentially did things that no one else is doing, just in terms of length and the quality of movements achieved through that length. I don't think anyone else does it quite like him, except for maybe people that are already qualified in the competition.
Yeah, he might be the only exception for my comment earlier of you can switch anybody else. I really think Joey deserves to be there, probably more than anybody else. I can't think of another person that I think deserves it more, so I'm really happy that he got in. He does put together like competition length lines, and that's what they want to see. That is their format. It's kind of a long course. You start at the top. Foskey got criticized a lot last year for just kind of burning the course.
Well, he burned through part, and then he stopped, did some shoe wipes, and then went through, and then kind of messed. He did a dub something, and then kind of had to do a scramble out of it because he didn't quite hit it the way he wanted to.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think one of the problems right now with Art of Motion is a lot of the athletes that end up going, they don't take it seriously enough as a competition. Yeah. And it's kind of bothersome because there's a lot of people that really want to be there and really want to take it seriously. And like I said earlier, it's kind of like an in crowd, it's a club, Yeah. Like where the cool kids are part of the Art of Motion, and then if you get in with the cool kids, then you get to be in Art of Motion. But yeah, like Alex Schauer, one of my favorite athletes ever to watch, and he's playing odds and has to wink at the camera, wear a silly hat, do some dancing, and it's a shame because that guy can.
He probably would have won.
He probably would have won, and you know what? I also think he got robbed of the podium last year. I thought he at least got third.
Yeah.
And then Jesse Pepperell stole third place. And
they should have awarded him more difficulty points for having to do all the bullshit in his run.
Yeah.
Difficulty score higher. Wore hat, winked at camera, did dance. Yeah. Automatically higher difficulty score. It's funny that you say the in crowd too, because I was concerned Joey wasn't going to make it. Even after he put out a really good submission, they were just right around the same time. Foskey puts out a submission, Eric puts out his submission. Can't think of any other top of my head, but just people were putting out submissions that were getting a lot of views and a lot of likes. Yeah. And it's tough for a guy like Joey who doesn't have as big of a following. And I was just thinking, it's going to be a popularity contest. They're not going to pick him this year. It's pretty clear in the past where the priorities are. Or at least, not totally clear. I have to be. I don't know what goes on in the judging room. We don't know. We can speculate, but it seems to be, like you said, there's a bit of a popularity club. Then he goes to Europe. He goes to what's that? Sorry, that's a jam. It's
For Love Movement.
For Love Movement. Yeah. Sorry. Goes to For Love Movement, meets all the European people, meets probably everyone who's on the judging panel, and I was thinking, yeah, he's gonna get in now
because he's in the.
He's gonna show up and show out, and people are gonna realize, whoa, this guy is actually incredible. Yeah. And we can actually see what's because it's hard to judge on a video submission. It really is.
This is true. Yeah.
You don't know how many attempts go into things. You even when you don't edit, even when you put in sound, you can still do things to mask stuff. It's really something we need to. It's really easy to do right now. It helps hype up events, but ultimately is something that we as a community promoting any kind of competition need to kind of steer away from. If we're really going to value live events, because live events are completely different, right? You're not going to do everything correct all the time live with the pressure, with the, and some people really respond to that. Yeah. And if that's the competition, we need to be awarding people that are good at that kind of competition, not necessarily good at making videos. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's a real problem, and that's kind of what I think that's the big flaw in video submission competition is, it's almost like it has to be a separate competition on its own. It's just video submission competition, and whoever wins the video submission, gets the prize money or whatever it is. But we're seeing a lot of competitions go in the direction of video submission format, and at least as qualifiers.
We got the Pro Free Run League.
The Pro Free Run League.
Ourselves. I mean,
we did it last year. We're doing it this year, which today is the deadline, if you didn't know, for your submissions to the NAPC style competition, which will be held in September.
Real quick, if you know anyone out there who is watching this, who should be submitting, make sure they submit end of day. It does not have to be a new video clip. Please get at people. That's all I want to say.
You can go on to sportparkourleague.com. That's
or
the
Sport
website.
Parkour League on Facebook.
Or the page on Facebook, and you can check it out. All the information will be linked on there. We've made several posts now, so you can check that out. We've already gotten a few submissions in, so we'll be taking a look at it at the end of the day. Anyway, aside from that, Apex
And the self plug.
Apex did their video submissions through Instagram, like we did last year, and I think it's not the end of video competition.
No, I think it's still a cool way. I just kind of look forward to the future where if it's a live competition, that everything is done through live qualifiers, and then maybe one person who puts in a video gets in.
Yeah.
It's more of a sweepstakes, and then maybe there's an additional competition with it, like what the Pro Free Run League has said they're eventually going to do with this $10,000 prize Instagram contest that hasn't surfaced yet, but I'm assuming they're not lying.
Yeah. Maybe the funds fell through. Who knows what happened with that? Maybe they're just waiting until the end of the season.
Yeah, that's what I figure is there's a lot of other competitions going on, a lot that have video submissions. So right now would not be the best time to do another one.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so we haven't talked about the remaining top 15. We were kind of talking about people that you could switch in. Who we don't have to read the whole 15, but who did you feel might have been able to squeeze in that top 4?
That's a tough question. I'm just gonna look at the list really quick. So, just starting at the top of this list, I really liked Bart's submission. It was really unique. He was really creative, super powerful guy. I think one of the big criticisms was his lines weren't long enough, which there's some validity there. But overall, I think the video was just on its own. A standalone video was incredible. We talked about Eric already. I think he could have been switched in.
Well, again, I think Anand did a really good job of breaking down why he didn't get in. Always prefacing it with that he does incredible things, but combining moves together and putting together a strong run with flow is not necessarily his strong suit.
Yeah. I really liked Christian Kowalewski.
He had one of the cleanest submissions.
Never heard of him before. Excellent transitions. Really cool stuff. And
well, he had these nothing spots too, where it's just like two walls, and I don't know if he's also a tricker, because he does have tricking exits to a lot of his things where he'll get a dub in at the end or something. But just super clean, and looks like he really understands the idea of that he should be able to
super high difficulty stuff.
He kind of throws a lot of the same moves. He's recently done a lot of the for lack of a better word, techie style. So there's a lot of tacks and weird angles that he throws in.
But I like it.
But it's good.
I
yeah.
liked what he did with it. He did. I mean, he did do a Kong gainer in a line. So that was interesting to watch. But That move, I think, on its own is just getting to the point where people aren't respecting it as much anymore, because it's people. I think people are finding out it's not as hard as it was made out to be originally. There's definitely some sketchiness to it, but and there's definitely a psychological component to throwing that, especially on a hard surface, or trying to do it on like lower and lower walls without a drop on the end. But yeah, I really liked Mathieu's submission. Jeff Garrido's super talented. Actually, don't think I've seen all of his clips. I think I've only seen like some of them. I didn't actually watch the whole submission.
Jeff Garrido has a submission almost. It's the closest to Joey's submission, I feel. Same with Mathieu, like just longer lines, but just both of them not quite as good as Joey.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I felt about those submissions. Really similar effort to make us a longer line type submission, but not quite as diverse as Joey.
Yeah.
Joey just has way more skills.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the last one I'll mention is Nathan Weston,
who put in his submission earlier, and I wonder if that hurt him, because it seems to be the strategy is put your submission in late, and then you get all the hype.
Yeah. I loved Nathan's submission. I think it was super creative. The skills that he threw, and they're not easy ones to do. I could see why they didn't pick him as top 4. I think he needs a little bit more experience with his movement, and I think I see his potential being like super high.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think he's reached anywhere close to where his actual potential is. And he came 3rd last year at NAPC style.
Was it 3rd or 2nd?
3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
yeah, simply because he just didn't land his big move, and he could have.
I think he would have taken first. Or he should have taken first if he had stuck his.
Absolutely, or even if he did, a more simple, something for big move. And landed it. Daryl was trying to tell me that his handspring thing on the wall should have been scored higher difficulty because no one else could do it. And I think it was just no one knew what they were looking at when they saw that.
I don't think anybody understood what they were looking at. I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, oh, that looked interesting. I thought he was just playing it safe because he didn't want to do the side pre to side.
Yeah.
More than he had to, but he did it twice. I still think to this day, I think if he had a 3rd opportunity to do it, he would have stuck it, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who else we got?
Who else do you like on that list? We talked about a lot of Americans and Mathieu, who's Canadian.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned. There's actually a couple of these I haven't seen, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen all of those.
Sorry. But also...
So maybe some of the guys we haven't seen, they were actually even better.
Yeah.
And so,
but they still have this list up on... it's just Red Bull Art of Motion on Facebook. So if you haven't seen all the submissions and you're into this sort of thing, definitely check out that list of their top 15. Because it just seems like people are really... going hard on these Art of Motion submissions now. There's just so much value put into going to Art of Motion, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because there's only one, cash prize winner that I know of. You get best female, and then you get winner of the competition, and I'm assuming there's a cash prize for both. And they'll pay for your trip, but it's basically like you're getting. It's the same as For Love of Movement. I think they pay to send people out, and there's like a video competition for that, but not quite the same amount of hype around it.
But you have to see it from the perspective of somebody who thinks they have the potential to, maybe win it, but if not win it, at least get into the final so they can go next year.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of good things about the after party.
Right. So that's what I mean. It's like you get to go to this big party. It seems more like you're getting a free ticket to a big party. You're getting the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's.
Hotel. You get put up in a dope hotel in Santorini, Greece, which is an absolutely stunning city, which I've never been to, and I'd love to visit. You know, there's a lot of value to having that experience, and I think people, and especially if you can potentially make it into the finals, you get to go back next year. That's you know, there's I could see why they'd want to do it, and like I said before, you know, you get in, you know, you might get a chance at being part of the cool club.
So it's almost not about who wins, not about.
And then this is you know, going back to what I said earlier, is it's you know, people, some of the athletes aren't putting, you know, as much effort into like actually competing at the highest level, and more just like they're just there for the experience. They want to have fun, and I get that. That can be part of your practice, but you know, if you're potentially taking that opportunity away from somebody who really wants to be there, really wants to try to win, then, and you know, maybe it's not that kind of competition.
I was just gonna say, like, it's, you know, we're sitting here saying like it should be about, you know, who wins stuff, but I guess you see, like, art of motion kind of developed around the time when there was still a bunch of resistance to competition, right?
No, to this day, they still don't use the word parkour or free running anywhere in the event.
Well, that's just like a Red Bull thing, though. I think
it's part of just like the resistance.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just a Red Bull branding thing, kind of like American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, maybe.
And it could eventually get to the point where it's like, you know, American Ninja Warrior, they don't like using the word parkour, they don't like using the word free running.
Well, they don't even like to bring in people who do parkour
anymore.
Unless they have a cool story, and then they downplay the parkour part.
Yeah, but if you do, ridiculous. It's like we're going to edit out every time you say parkour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of think it's a Red Bull thing, though. I kind of think that's a Red Bull choice.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, no, but you're right. It is a competition that developed around the time when there was a lot of resistance.
Well, and you have guys like DK too. Anytime last year when we were doing our online qualifiers, he kind of made a post because I put out something about criteria, and then he put out a post saying, "Oh, but it's about, you know, having the most fun." And it's like, okay, guy who won Red Bull, sure.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. That was before year 2, but you know,
okay, yeah, true.
It's like, I guess you can have fun and still win.
Yeah.
But,
well, hey, you know what? He must be doing something right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wasn't that a Jason Paul quote? It's just, how do you be the best at free running or whatever? It's like, oh, you have the most fun.
You have the most fun. Yeah.
If you're that good, sure.
Yeah. If you can win by just having fun, then that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was funny. Anytime, so back when Johan was living in the States, anytime I watched him compete, it was like, you know, courses or challenges were being explained, and everybody always like had this look of like, oh, we have to do that. Johan was always the one with the biggest smile on his face, like, yes, get to do that. So I think there is value to actually being the guy that's having fun in the room. It's just a matter of, you know, if you take it too far, like Alex Shower, then maybe you cost, you know, you lose a podium spot because of it. So
yeah. But maybe he doesn't care.
Maybe he doesn't care. Yeah, it's easy. As long as he gets to go to the after party, I suppose it's all worth it in the end.
I want to talk about they didn't actually. So this isn't. I'm just gonna totally go. There we go.
Yeah.
This isn't Tyler Reflector. So we see top 15 men. There's no top women list.
They have it.
Or is there?
They have it further up here.
Further up. Oh, here we
there
go.
It is.
But it's top 3.
But it's top 3, yeah. So
there's no honorable mention list of women, and that I know of. So again, we got the top 3 women: Sydney Olsen, Lucy Romberg, Lin Young, and then I know Lorena Abreu made a submission, and Tamala, I don't know how to say your last name, also made a submission, but outside of that I don't know. Or I didn't see other ones, so
yeah.
I think
Katie made one?
Oh, Katie McDonald?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I didn't see.
And I think Tamala's was late.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like I just want to mention Lorena Abreu and Tam, because they have the same kind of style as Pedro Salgado and Foski, whose name is also Pedro.
Yeah.
It's just easier
It's
that he
okay,
has a
just
last
call
name.
him
I actually,
Foski.
I feel like we're getting to this point too where I always want to say people's last names, just so we know who we're talking about. Like we keep saying Eric, but it's Eric
Mukamention.
Yeah, Mukamention.
Every person I talk to that tries to say Eric's last name, they do some funny sound with an M. It's a mush,
Yeah,
mushroom man, or marshmallow.
We're terrible.
Yeah.
Anyways, I always want to say people's last names because there are some repeat names here. You know, it's nice when you have a nickname like Foski because then we can just say Foski. So I just wanted to mention those two women because we were talking about how Red Bull is now favoring this more traditional parkour style, guys that can do bigger jumps. And Anand talks about this in his defense of judging criteria, saying that he puts some of Pedro's jumps on par with some of Eric's tricks, which I think is fair because
Pedro opened up his video basically with that low to high double Kong.
Yeah.
And then just like, that was a crazy like double Kong. I'm sure it's massive in person, right? But actually that's the one thing that's really challenging about judging like traditional parkour style is sometimes you don't understand the level of difficulty that actually is present there because you don't really know the size of the gap. But you don't know what the surface of the wall is or the height differential.
I think that's less of a problem live though. Because live, it's in front of you. If you're judging live.
But what I mean is specifically in relation to video submission. Yeah. And also like how people are filming things. I don't know if this is ever an issue. I never crossed my mind until just now. But like if people are filming like fisheye or like wide angle, or they're like stretching the video in post or whatever they're doing. If that ever is played in.
Yeah, well, I think those are definitely issues for judging parkour difficulty. A lot of times people will put out videos saying like, oh, this guy's got crazy jumps, and I'll watch the video and sometimes I'm thinking, I guess I gotta take everyone's word for it because I can't really tell anymore.
Yeah.
How tall is this guy? What kind of lens is he using? So that's a really hard thing to tell, and I think just Pedro has the reputation and you can, it's pretty clear from the video, but he at least has a reputation where he does do massive jumps that are not only massive gap jumps but to precision landings. So back to the point I was trying to make is that they were putting it on par with the tricks. They were saying, okay, this level of just a straight jump difficulty with a precision landing is almost or sometimes on par with a flip that is really, really unique or obscure and no one else can do. So going back to Lorraine and Tam, they kind of have that style where they can do some basic flips, but they're really pushing like the big jump style, whereas definitely Lucy and Sydney are not. Lin Young to some extent is as well. So I feel like I feel like Lorena or Tam, putting in a submission next year, particularly if Tam puts on one time, I kind of like their chances for getting in, depending on how good the other competitors get. Because I feel like that style to me really suits the Art of Motion course too. And you look at guys like Alex Schauer and Jesse Peveril, who made it into the finals last year. They have very much a parkour style, but it allows them to move quickly through the course to connect things better. So whereas like
Jesse did like a giant dive com.
Yeah.
And he I actually talked to him. He said like I didn't know I was going to do that until I was walking up.
That's awesome.
to the top of the course to do my run, and I was like, oh, there's that big dive com. I guess
crazy.
I'm gonna do it.
That's crazy. So, but you have all the people with the heavy flipping styles who don't necessarily always connect it. It's just kind of they'll do a bunch of really compact movements, flip, 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 and then kind of have to flow run, their way on to the next part to try to keep the pace going.
Yeah.
The straight arms and everything.
Just like this one. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's good.
It's excellent. That was good flow run tech.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. any closing thoughts, I guess, with art of motion submissions, art of motion submissions? I need more coffee. I can't talk anymore.
Yeah, I'm done.
Did I say submotions? It kind of sounds like shawarma.
Yeah.
Anyways, any final thoughts with AOM submissions this year? It's a tongue twister when you try to say it together. Trust me.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm happy with the picks. I can't complain about it. But I probably would have been happy with pretty much any of the picks unless Joey didn't get in.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of my takeaway. I'm happy. I'm happy this year than I have been. I'm happier this year than I have been in previous years. I'll say that.
With who got picked?
With who got
Okay.
picked. Dylan
Cool.
Poland.
Dylan Poland?
No, nothing. Just keep going. Yeah.
Did he have a submission? Did he have a submission?
No.
Okay. All right. We're just calling out. Hey, Derek, Ollie, do you guys have the live chat feed going there?
Oh.
Just curious if anyone's using that.
See it.
No one's watching. Okay.
Video.
No one's watching, so we can just be like,
Whoa. There's some stuff. Some guy runs to school. Did you know that? Flo runs to school.
Oh.
All the way.
Awesome. Cool.
It takes a long time for him to get there.
Any? Do we got some time for Q&A? Any questions in that thread that we can get to?
Someone wants to know. They want you to ask Giles why his compiles are dead.
Ask Giles why his compiles are dead.
Yeah.
I think
Because he just got arrested. That's why.
Well, he's a busy guy. He's off in Asia filming with the Store Boys, doing Roof Culture Asia, and he's got a ton of other projects I'm sure he's got to work on. So it's like this show. This is we're not getting paid to do this. This is something that we really just enjoy doing and want to do as much as we can.
We're not getting paid
Yet. I mean, at least we got this cool equipment.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was doing Giles compiles because he wanted to do something for the community. But it's hard, man. It's hard to dedicate time every single week to do something that is not gonna yield any personal benefit to you, when there's other projects that are happening in your life that is. Right, so
There you go.
Also in Asia for 6 weeks.
Maybe compiles is not dead. Anything else?
No.
Any other questions there? No?
Is there anyone you would like to be? What? People don't speak English.
Recently found out that just a bunch of 14-year-olds watch our show, and that's it. It wasn't really the demographic we were going after, but hey, what's up, kids? How you doing? Okay. If you happen to catch this show live, I think we'll try to do it at a more convenient time. This is our first, not our first live show. We did one already, but our first live show with this new setup. We'll try to have a more consistent time in the future, maybe give a day's notice. So if you can tune in live, we'd be happy to answer any questions, kind of have a chat going, make it a more interactive show. I think that would be fun.
yeah, it could be cool.
Cool. Okay, guys. That's it for today's show. As always, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.
2.